We're in Dundas, Ontario, just outside of Hamilton, on what is a picturesque winter day. It's suiting because Dundas is a picturesque town. It's got something that's become a bit of an anomaly in this day. It's a vibrant downtown, independent shops lining both sides of the streets. We're going to visit 5 different places today that embody that independence and community spirit. I'm Jamie Waldron, and this is Indie Kitchen. We're at Detour Cafe, and I'm here talking to Jeff Woodley, Director of Coffee, about how in the world this process happens. So Jeff, Detour is now coming into about its 8th year of operations, and you've been here almost from the beginning?
Almost from the beginning, yeah.
How does a coffee company start?
Started with Kayla McCowan on a trip to New Zealand. Went to Wellington, was blown away by the coffee culture there. Gas station had great coffee. Go downtown, there's 100 different independent cafes. And just got inspired. Came home and ended up buying a roaster for himself. And actually put the roaster in the back of this building here.
Where does Jeff Woodley enter into the equation?
I came in a few months later. I read about it in the paper, came in, got chatted with Kayla and we kind of hit it off. Came on board full time.
Okay, so I mean, did you have a history in coffee?
Not a lot. I had a real interest in food and drink. I'd already been in that sort of that world a little bit. Kaylin started teaching me some things and just seemed like a natural fit.
And now, being director of coffee, what are your responsibilities within Detour now?
Well, Detour's expanded. We're a roasting location now in Burlington, so I kind of look after all the product development from the green buying side to looking over the roasting and looking at the complete picture of the coffee.
You know, it's not like Ontario is well known for their coffee beans by any stretch, so I mean, my understanding is that you're looking for coffee farmers sourcing out beans. Can you touch on that a little bit?
You know, this year I'll be traveling to Nicaragua, Guatemala, Costa Rica, visiting producers that we worked with for 3-4 years at a time. So we look for relationships where there's really high quality products, farmers that are willing to put a little bit more investment into the quality of their product, and we're willing to pay a little bit more in turn for that coffee.
Is there a certain altitude? Educate me a little bit on what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's actually very similar to something like wine, for example. There's a certain condition that suits each type of coffee. There's varieties like there is in wine with the coffee, and there's different conditions that will favor really high quality coffee. So higher altitudes, cool nights with warmer days help to develop the cherries really nicely.
How many pounds of coffee would you guys be doing in a week?
We're doing quite a few batches. So we've got a really nice new roaster, does 35 kilos at a time. Really control variables. We've got 4 different temperature probes on there looking at every aspect of that roast as it goes through. So not only can we know exactly how we got a good tasting roast, but we can replicate that consistently every time.
What was the rationale for Kaylin to want to set up Detour in Dundas?
Dundas was a real pull for a community. It has an amazing community here. As you know, there's some amazing shops, all focused on really high quality products with amazing customer service. I think we're really lucky to be in the location we are, and totally credit to everybody around us for helping grow the community.
Like, what else happens in this environment?
Full Kitchen here does an amazing job of producing some incredible foods. All the breads are made in-house, all the pastries are made in-house. We've got all locally sourced ingredients, you know, trying to keep that mentality from the coffee through to the food as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Jeff, thanks for taking the time.
Ah, pleasure.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Piccone Fine Foods has a storied history in Dundas, history untouched by any other business in town. It's been here for over 100 years. We're going to go inside and talk to sisters THERESA and Lisa Piccone on what it takes to last 100 years. I'm here talking with sisters THERESA and Lisa Piccone. Thanks very much, guys, for joining.
Thank you.
So yeah, Piccone's has been here for over 100 years. I'm really interested to know how it all started.
Well, our grandfather came from Sicily, and he started in the construction industry back in the early 1900s and had an injury. And back in those days, with an injury, it was his eye. He couldn't work in construction. He had a couple of baskets and boxes in his little apartment where he would just walk the streets. Everything was very local in those days, for sure. Mm-hmm. Ended up renting the little shop across the street from 1913 to 1915, still running a produce market. Okay. And then bought this building in 1915. It's where my dad's family lived all his life until he married. and the store has been here since 1915. Gone through the Great Depression, gone through the wars.
How have you seen the area, not only your store, but the area kind of evolve through your lifetime?
There was a time when the shop carried a lot of sort of staples, breads, milk, and of course produce, always produce. But then over time, the store started to niche a little bit in terms of more specialty items, a little bit more imported goods like extra virgin olive oil. And that created a real sort of departure from the everyday, and where Piccone started to fine tune and become a little bit more niched in terms of specializing in not your mainstream type of grocery and becoming more like a specialty food shop.
Every community used to have this. This is where people shop, our grandparents and great-grandparents. This is where they would have shopped, 50 years ago. But a lot has changed, and so now we are one of the last.
Having significantly less square footage than like a huge store, but it's interesting to me, going into one of those huge stores, you don't even see remotely the variety of oils and vinegars that another larger store would carry. What are some of the different specific items that you guys carry that maybe customers are coming in just for those reasons?
The neat thing about the extra virgin olive oils and olive oils that we offer here at the shop are that they are small production, small single estate farms regionally throughout Italy. Could be Bari, could be Puglia, Sicily, huge producers of small independent farmers. Much the same like how we are small and independent, these farmers are in the same way producing small batch, quality, fresh, cared for olive groves, old olive groves, and producing really amazing tasting, very different one olive from the next olive oil. It's a neat way to experience a little bit of Italy or a little bit of Greece, here in our local town.
THERESA, Lisa, honestly, it's been educational and informative. I really appreciate it. Not only you just being here in the community, but taking the time out of your day to talk to me a little bit about the stuff going on here. So thanks.
Thank you, Jamie.
Cumbraes has built a reputation around high quality, high caliber meats. The Dundas location is the one that really maintains that small town charm. All right, we're here in Cumbraes and we're talking to Brandon THURLEY, the manager of the shop. Brandon, this shop has been a butcher for over 100 years, is that fair to say?
I think just over 100 years it's been a butcher shop. It's changed hands a few times. It started with Holmes, then Bennett's, then it became Cumbraes. It's been in Cumbraes just over 20 years. We just want to bring the best products to the customers. We work with farmers all over Ontario. We want to know how they're raising the meat, what they're being fed, and we can give them feedback.
Maybe just an overview of how you guys treat that stuff when it comes in.
We get whole animals in, so we're breaking it all down from there, and then we dry age it and age it all ourselves in our coolers.
What, for the novice or the layman, what exactly is dry aging doing to the meat?
So it breaks the meat down, makes it more tender and a lot more flavorful.
What's the vetting process for you guys to start working with a farmer?
We ask them what they're fed, how they're raised. Obviously you need a sample.
So a lot of labels kind of get bandied about a lot, like you hear like organic and free run, free range, free roam. I mean, it seems like there's no shortage of options out there for people to put a tag on their meat. What are some of the things specifically that Cumbraes look for in a farm when they're working with them?
So we like things to be out on pasture, more in their natural environment, not in barns. Mm-hmm. We don't want any hormones or steroids in any of the animals.
Do you guys find any added extra benefit for an animal to be more in its natural environment?
Well, I think when it's outside, it can eat the grass, it can eat the bugs. I think that adds a lot of flavor to it. Okay. And then they also there is a mix that they get, okay, which adds a lot of flavor as well.
So is there like any one farm in particular maybe that kind of stands out for you from the rest of them?
We have a farmer, her name's Brenda Forsyth. She's up in the Collingwood area.
Okay.
She raises Berkshire for us and lambs, and her stuff is exceptional.
What would a Berkshire typically kind of be raised for, maybe a dressed out weight? What size are you guys looking for?
They're anywhere from 200 to 270, okay, in that range.
That's a large pig.
It's pretty big.
And what breed of lamb is she generally raising?
She's doing Dorset.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. We also source out Texel lamb from London.
It seems to be much more of a full circle kind of environment here. You guys are not only just peddling meat out the front doors, but you guys have quite the operation going on behind this, like what's prepared foods.
We create a lot of trim, bones that we can make stock out of. So we try to utilize every part of the animal.
Okay.
And the kitchen really helps with that.
So what are you guys making?
Well, we make pies, stocks, demi-glaze, lasagnas.
So everything that normally maybe somebody would actually pay to have carted away to some sort of recycling plant, you guys are actually putting back
We're
into
trying
product.
to use it, yeah.
So a value-added product.
Right.
And I mean, right down to my understanding is that you're using the pork fat into the pies themselves.
Right into the pie crust, yeah.
Cool. Kind of unique to North America is Cumbraes actually having their own farms. Like, what's happening out there? Can you tell me just a little bit about Cumbraes Farms itself?
Sure. So it's two brothers that run the farm. They actually are making the feed mixes for all the animals. They're growing the crops. The love that they put into the animals, it's unbelievable.
But they also raise a pretty unique product into North America too. Why don't you touch on that?
So it's a Wagyu, which is it's better known as Kobe beef,
Right.
which is from Japan.
And what makes Wagyu beef so, I don't know, delicious?
The high marbling content and the fat content for sure.
But they will actually feed them for a longer period of time, will they not?
That's right, yeah. It's like almost twice as long.
Right, yeah.
But
And then it gets broken into all the different shops.
we get a whole cattle in this store, and each store would get its own whole cattle, but Wagyu one's kind of split up between all 4 shops.
Okay. From my own experience, the burger is probably one of the best you can get.
I think the burger is probably the best thing to go with, but yeah.
Brandon, thanks very much for taking the time out of your day to talk about what's going on at Cumbraes. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
We're going into Mickey Maguires to talk to Paddy about all things cheese, get an education from what I consider to be a real deal cheesemonger. Paddy, why don't you tell me just a little bit about like the shop itself and when it opened and where it's kind of come along the way?
Sure. We opened, December 9th, 2005 here in Dundas. I mean, the family business has been running for a few decades before that, but we're about 11 years running here.
Seems to be a community spirit here in Dundas. Is that something that you've
unique.
noticed?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. It's a unique collection of very special people generally. Just being so close to the university, there's a lot of very interesting and talented people. And they just a lot of them happen to enjoy really good food.
Good. And cheese.
And cheese along with it, absolutely. The type of person that winds up here is they can't find what they're looking for elsewhere.
Okay.
And so often they come searching for something that they can't find in the grocery store. But I think it's a very discerning palate. It's very much a home for cheese nerds, like ourselves.
How is it that you guys come into contact with cheeses from around the globe that you bring in here?
Oh, I think it's a pretty natural flow at this point. I think we do a lot of reading, we do a lot of tasting, we talk to a lot of customers who do traveling, and we talk to a lot of chefs, and I think the only way to learn cheese is one cheese at a time. There's so many cheeses that have been brought to us by other people, people that have gone on vacation or gone on a business trip to the Alps and they came across this specific cheese, and is there any chance you can find it? And we love a wild goose chase.
Let's start one cheese at a time, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Where should we begin our tour?
Let's start locally, actually. These are two of my favorites perpetually at the moment, subject to change. This first one, is a great local cheese. It's produced in New Hamburg in the KW area.
Okay.
And it's called Mountain Oak Gold, and this is their 3-year-old version. Really caramely, crunchy, sweet, sharp. It's a cheese for cheese lovers, but I think it's a flavor that's familiar enough that in Canada, we all love cheddar. Canadians love cheddar,
Right.
Maybe possibly an old cheddar. I feel like this is only one small leap from an old cheddar. It's something that used to be our little secret, sort of a localized, if you were in the know, you knew about Mountain Oak cheese, but they just won their first international cheese-making award this past year. So I think the secret's out now, but
Okay.
yeah.
Where are we moving to?
Italy.
Ah, cool.
Just a short jaunt into Italy. This particular cheese is called Ocelli en fogli di castagno, in chestnut leaf. And it's a cow and goat's milk cheese aged for 2 years in chestnut leaf.
What's the chestnut leaf all about?
flavor. I mean, terroir probably as well. Like, it's probably very much the fellow that makes it. It's from northern Italy. I think chestnut's something that's probably widely available. The Italians do a lot of chestnut leaf curing. The fellow that makes it, Peppino Uccelli, is probably Italy's most famous cheesemaker of all time. Like a real, to cheese nerds, a real big deal. And this is probably his most desirable cheese. But he does the same cheese in 4 preparations. This one's one of our favorites.
As far as like aging a cheese, like how far are people pushing the envelope in that direction?
I think the aging of cheese is something that's being pushed in many different directions. About 4 years ago, a little pocket of cheddar popped up in Wisconsin from a cheesemaker that had passed away, and there was a lot that was acquired. There was 2 lots. One was 37 years old, and one was like 42 years old.
Wow.
North Americans age their cheddar quite extremely. It's personal taste.
Yeah.
I think some people would find that that certain cheeses hit a peak at a certain, like for example, Parmesan. If you go to some cheese shops around, you'll see them aging for 6-8 years plus, and some people might tell you that that's gone too far.
Right.
So I think it's a matter of personal taste, though.
Thanks a lot for taking the time out.
My pleasure.
Appreciate the tour.
Thanks for reaching out.
Quatrefoil restaurant opened up its doors just over 6 years ago here in Dundas, and the community has really welcomed them with open arms. We're going to go inside and talk to head chef and owner FRASER MacFarlane, and Jose Fernandez is going to pair up some wine for each dish. Really excited about this one. We're here with head chef FRASER MacFarlane of Quatrefoil. Interesting to see that we actually nailed you down, which is first and foremost amazing. Secondly, I want to know why you guys chose Dundas as the location for Quatrefoil.
Well, actually, my wife grew up in Dundas. She spent her formative years here, and we just loved the town. And she was doing catering out of our house and was looking for an off-site location. And she found this house, and we thought it would be perfect to open a restaurant. So that's what we did. We took the plunge.
And the style of the cuisine, a little bit more refined.
We call it modern French or modern European, but still driven by mainly the seasons, what's available, what the farmers in the area have for us to use up.
What's a little bit of your history that would have brought you to this point then?
Well, I started cooking in Toronto. I'm originally from Toronto. Worked in Italy for a summer, got hired at Scaramouche, and I was there for 5 years altogether. Spent a year in London, England, working over there for a couple of Michelin-starred chefs, and came back here. And Hamilton, Dundas especially, have been great supporters of the restaurant since the beginning, so it's been really great.
Okay, Fraser, what do you got for us today?
It's a veal tartare. So it's basically our take on a regular, like a steak tartare. So we've already got all the seasonings that you would find in a regular steak tartare in here. So capers, shallots, parsley, a little bit of ketchup, Dijon mustard, a little bit of Tabasco or your favorite hot sauce. So that's the tartare. It's already seasoned up, ready to go. So we make an oil out of parsley, chives, and tarragon. So we're just going to do a few dots here on the plate. Pickled celery here that we just compress. You usually get a toast or something like that to eat with tartare.
Yeah.
So this is basically a churro batter, a savory churro batter, no sugar, with Parmesan cheese folded into it. So that comes out of the fryer and goes right on top. Oil cured black olives, we just leave them out in the dehydrator overnight so they get a little bit crispy.
Okay.
It gives kind of a nice saltiness to the plate as well. And there you go, that's the dish. Just waiting for the duck to finish cooking. Roasted duck breast from Quebec, a little bit of winter greens or lettuces, so radicchio, endive, some onion petals, a little bit of beet, some cabbage, spiced plum, and then we've made a little fritter with pulled duck confit in it. Okay. So you get a little bit of duck confit. So we're just going to take our radicchio and our endives and stuff, just do a few dots like that so people can just sort of drag their fork through it as they go. Then our fritters. We get our ducks in at least 3 weeks before we're going to use them.
Okay.
So they have a few weeks to mellow out and rest in the fridge and sort of age themselves.
Right.
If anybody ever asks us how the chefs suggests they have their duck, I always say mid-rare.
Okay.
And we're just going to finish it with a little jus or sauce has a little bit of foie gras butter blitzed into it at the end.
Fraser, thanks very much for taking the time,
pleasure.
making these beautiful dishes.
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, we're gonna head inside the dining room, and Jose's gonna talk about some wine.
All right, go for it.
Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Jose, how's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Jose Fernandez is the head sommelier here at Quatrefoil, and he's agreed to pair up these dishes with some wine.
Absolutely. So my first choice would that be Ville Tartare. It's a lovely wine from France, from the region of Beaujolais in Burgundy. This is a Beaujolais Cru from Fleury 2015. Gonna get a lot of a little bit of funk to it, but it's definitely fresh and vibrant red fruits mostly. Enjoy it with the Ville Tartare.
Okay, veal tartare, I don't think I even need a knife for this. And then I've got this savory churro, which, I mean, when he was talking about it in there, just sounded so delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get it all on one fork. Spot on and amazing. And that churro really is something that I would want to eat over and over again. So I will, but I would like to wash a little bit of it down with this wine again because it's a delicious wine.
Okay.
All right.
So the next dish, the breast of duck, we get a lovely Barbaresco from Piemonte, 2009. So this is 100% Nebbiolo base wine. Again, lighter in style, but it's got a little bit more structure to it, more tannins, a little bit of vibrant acidity to it, and it's very earth-driven. So there's a lot of savory components in the dish, and we need something fresh to cut through the richness. Lovely wine, lovely producer, Castello di Verduno. So one of my favorites.
Okay, so we've got our duck breast dish here, and this looks like a very, very complete, well-orchestrated dish. I want to try the Nebbiolo that Jose paired up for us. It smells a little bit more bold, more big. That's a delicious wine. Okay, duck breast with the jus that actually has the foie gras in it and the fritters as well. Like, just kind of really excited to try all this stuff. So first I just want to try the duck breast with the jus. These plates, as nice as they are and well organized as they are really meant to kind of get everything together. So crunchy on the outside, nice and and the wine complements it so well again. It makes sense that the community supports a restaurant like this. We've visited some other really cool shops here in Dundas, just places that go above and beyond, not only through customer support, but the actual products that they bring in. Quatrefoil is no exception to that. This meal has been absolutely amazing. But you can't taste it, you can't smell it, but I hope it creates a reason for you to come to Dundas and experience it for yourself.